It's Friday, the 13th of March, 2026. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Morning, Michael. Give us that follow message one last time.
For the last time, Sean, yes. If you're listening on Spotify and you're listening through the Your Daily Drive playlist, that playlist, its days are numbered, Sean. It's only got a few days left. So please hit follow on the Fast 5 so that you can hear us after that playlist has disappeared, and we will be in your ears every day with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Let's get on with it. Story number 1. Energy Minister Chris Bowen says Australia has 36 days of petrol and 29 days of jet fuel, and the government will temporarily allow dirtier petrol on the roads to boost the country's energy supplies.
Bowen insisted Australia's fuel supplies were secure and there was no need for panic buying. And then he dropped emission standards. It means fuel quality standards will be amended to allow higher sulphur levels for the next 60 days. That allows around 100 million litres of a month of new petrol supply that would otherwise have been exported to be part of the domestic supply. Bowen said demand for fuel had doubled and a national coordination mechanism will be convened to respond to supply chain issues.
Now, that announcement came after Brent crude surged nearly 10% to push above $100 a barrel again yesterday, hitting the local share market. The surge really came after Iraq stopped operations at its oil ports after 2 tankers were targeted by explosive-laden boats. Also not helping was Oman moving its tanker fleet away from its main oil terminal, effectively stopping supply from that country. The actions overshadowed the release of emergency reserves by the International Energy Agency. The total release, Sean, will be 400 million barrels globally from 32 member countries. Just to give that a little bit of perspective, it's about the same as would flow through the Strait of Hormuz over 20 days.
That means a lot of oil. Oil experts said the global oil market is shifting from a short-term geopolitical shock to a prolonged supply squeeze as the Middle East conflict disrupts production and exports. What's that mean for us? Higher petrol prices for longer, higher inflation, more chance of the Reserve Bank lifting interest rates. That impacted the local share market yesterday, which closed down about 1.3% on the back of those oil prices.
Okay, moving on to story number 2 now, Sean. Household spending fell last month for the first time since September 2024, marking a shift from steady growth and raising questions about the need for more interest rate hikes. The Commonwealth Bank's household spending index fell 0.5%, and spending was down across half the 12 categories. Utilities had the biggest monthly fall.
In annual terms, the pace of growth slowed to under 5%. Commonwealth Bank Chief Economist Belinda Allen said it was too early to call a sustained slowdown, but discretionary categories were softening first, and that's typically where households pull back when budgets are under pressure. Of course, the Reserve Bank Board meets early next week. Given the surge in oil prices, all 4 major banks are now tipping rate hikes on Tuesday and then again in May.
Story number 3. The golden child of the local tech sector, Atlassian, will cut 10% of its workforce, saying that artificial intelligence has reduced the number of people it needs and the cost savings will be deployed in developing AI in the business. That is about 1,600 jobs. About nearly 500 of those are expected to come from Australian operations. It is, Sean, the highest profile local company to slash jobs as a direct result of the growth of AI.
Co-founder and chief executive Mike Cannon-Brookes also said that the company's chief technology officer was going. Atlassian is listed on NASDAQ in the US. Its share price has dropped 66% in the past 12 months. It's part of what market watchers are calling SaaSpocalypse, where software service providers are being hammered because of the potential for AI to replace what they do. Cannon-Brookes, well, he says AI can help Atlassian do what it does, and the decision was made to spend more money investing in AI rather than all those staff members.
Story number 4, at least 3.2 million Australians, or 1 in 7, experienced personal fraud last financial year. That's double the level of a decade ago. Card fraud is the big one, according to the Bureau of Statistics, with 10% of the population experiencing it each year. Total losses from card fraud were estimated to be $2.2 billion. Can you believe that?
Yeah, but the good news is that about 3/4 of that was reimbursed by the bank or card issuer. The survey also found that around 600,000 people experienced a scam of some sort in the last year, but that was actually less than a year earlier. Far fewer phishing scams. People just a bit more savvy about that. Other what you might call mainstream scams include identity theft. That was reported 220,000 times in the year, and online impersonation, 500,000 times.
Story number 5. What do you make of this one, Sean? British banknotes are losing the politicians and literary figures and welcoming hedgehogs and badgers. Instead, the next generation of pound notes will feature wildlife native to the UK, according to the Bank of England, after half a century in which that status was reserved for historical figures, including people like Winston Churchill and Jane Austen.
The central bank held a public consultation on refreshing its money last year, 44,000 responses. Basically, badgers and hedgehogs and those sorts of things came out first. Basically, nature came first, architecture and landmarks second, historical figures third. The bank said it's looking for images that symbolise the UK resonated with the public and weren't divisive. This will be divisive, though, because at the moment, the Labor government is very patriotic, and given what's going on in the world, that's not a surprise. The right side of politics, Reform UK, has really taken control. It's not unlike One Nation. I mean, I'm stretching the analogy there a little bit, but it's certainly very splintered. So anything like this, any change to something that's very typically British is going to cause all sorts of problems and noise.
I suspect hedgehogs have never considered themselves particularly controversial before, Sean.
Nor badgers, for that matter.
Yeah, indeed. There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael.
It's Friday, the 13th of March, 2026. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.